Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris coming to you on The Rebound. The Rebound being that as we bounce back from this pandemic. So many stories moving forward right now, and I think there is a degree of optimism out there. A new poll came out this morning from Vanderbilt Medical Center, not Vanderbilt Medical Center, from Vanderbilt University, with regard to some of the sentiments here among Nashvillians on how things are going and the support that was there for some of the steps that have been taken. But the greater support right now and optimism for things as they reopen as we go through these phases. I know some people would like to see things going faster, and much of the rest of the state is. But as we bounce back, if there's one area that folks continue to have concern about, one, they want to make sure things remain safe and people take precautions. But the most important among many folks polled is the economy, and hoping that people can get back to work, financially get stabilized, and things open up, as again, I said, safely. So we're going to talk about that this morning, primarily to try to help you in the best way we can. Again, we're coming to you on the Plus, and we're also streaming live this morning, as we have been for the last several weeks, on Facebook at newschannel5.com. So if you are sitting there right now and you're in a situation financially where you're still waiting for your stimulus check, okay, if you have a question about that, and there are a lot of folks right now still waiting, sadly, or if you're dealing with unemployment, okay, and you're wondering what's happening with that, or have a scenario you want to bring up there, or just to question anything within this big stimulus plan, give us a call. We can also discuss this morning the issue of taxes and when you should start paying attention to that, since we all know there was a delay on when you need to file. I know many of you already have if you were getting refunds, but you have until July 15th. So we're going to open it all up for you now with our guest who's been a regular with us, and I was just telling her before the show how thankful I am that Dr. Friday, our financial expert, is able to join us. And you say that you're very busy, you enjoy doing these programs, helping people, but how are things coming on your end? We hear about so many businesses right now slowing down, but I get the sense with you, you're hearing from a lot of your clients.
I am. We kind of specialize in business owners, small businesses. The real estate market is still moving forward, believe it or not. You've got a lot of restaurants. Those are the hardest. They're not open, or they're only doing partial openings. But with the assistance of PPP and EIDL loans, we're working very hard to try to keep the money or the loans coming through, so that many people have taken the time right now to refurbish restaurants, to have a grand opening, maybe reorganize the insides so that they're a little bit more spacious. A lot of talk about how we can reopen safely. And so, we're getting a lot of people in here and doing a lot of seminars, it seems like, taking ourselves so we can help our clients understand what's out there to help them financially, because the government not only giving stimulus to small or individuals, they're also helping small business owners, trying to get the money into their pockets to help rehire and to reopen their businesses.
Yeah, and that's what I think we all want to see. I'm thrilled to see so many businesses. I think I'm going to be going to a restaurant later tonight, okay? First time going into one. I've been doing a lot of carry out, but I'm ready to do that. I want to support as many of these businesses as they reopen wherever they do. And it looks like Metro may well reopen, possibly more, to phase 2 next week. We'll see more on that from the mayor. But listen, the frustration, and I know you deal with the money side of things, and we're going to open it up. If those of you following us right now on Facebook have questions or comments, send them in now at newschannel5.com or give us a call. The frustration here for a lot of people, and it's interesting, it's the number one thing I get on my Facebook page still from folks when we talk about the pandemic, is either unemployment or the stimulus checks. Now, we know right now, millions of Americans have already received their payments, correct? I mean, millions, but there's still millions waiting. And I'm not sure. What is your take on that? And is it just because they just happen to be lower in the queue? Or do we think there's some kind of log jam where there's a real problem?
No, I think in many cases they're lower in the queue, but I also think in the way that things were filed possibly in 2018, maybe you were not married and now you are, maybe you didn't have children, maybe you were claimed as a dependent in 18 and now you're an individual. I think some of the people that are having these issues outside of people that are on disability and Social Security and are non-filers, we just had a big seminar with the IRS. Apparently when people went in as non-filers, you were actually filing a tax return. So now when they go in to file their physical tax returns, they're showing that someone's already filed a tax return in their name. They didn't understand the system. So now we've got a big holdup on how tax returns are going to be filed, because that means that the refund you might have thought was coming electronically. I've had 2 cases so far. They're like, no, I never filed it. They pull them up. They show $0 or $1 on the return. They had went in thinking they could get the non-filer before they could file their physical tax returns. Again, a lot of confusion on what a non-filer was. And so now we're having to mail in returns. For example, we've had some, I know on your Facebook or whatever, we had a question the other day about her son not being able to get it. He went on non-filer. Now he can't file his taxes. Well, it's because somehow it did go through, most likely through the non-filing, and now we're going to have a ton of paper returns, which holds up the whole system, because paper returns have to be handled by individuals. They cannot be electronically put into the system. So you can just imagine how much longer it's going to take for refunds or for tax returns to post.
Okay, well, and there's not a deadline when those refunds are going to stop being sent out, so just don't give up.
Awesome. Yes.
Recognize, right, Dr. Friday, the fact is that some of these paper checks especially will be going out until September. No one wants to have to wait that long, and it's interesting, we already have some folks on Facebook asking the same question again, and we don't mind re-answering these. We both heard these, but there's someone else again asking. There's folks who haven't received any payments yet, and there's already questions about a second stimulus payment. We know the House of Representatives have passed some type of plan, and I'm not sure if that entails additional money individually sent out to folks, but it has to go to the Senate. And there's no talk right now, at least that I've seen, and you can confirm that there's going to be a second stimulus check going out anytime soon. We don't have a crystal ball, Dr. Friday. Who knows? Maybe down the road, but right now that's not happening.
No, because we haven't had enough time to see this particular refund and stimulus actually take effect. I mean, restaurants haven't physically opened. People haven't even hardly left their homes. We haven't used the money to move the economy yet. So the government has to wait at least until September, when all the money has hit, until restaurants have opened, and if they're going to survive. I mean, I know people here all the time. We've got other businesses that are filing for bankruptcy. There's going to be some cleanup. Some businesses were on the verge of closing prior to this. This was just the final push that took some of these companies to have to just go into, to do reorganizations.
Yeah, JCPenney, right?
Exactly.
That's
big.
an example.
I mean, big companies. Exactly. There's a couple of them that have filed.
Well, and the numbers just came out again this morning, the latest ones on unemployment nationwide, and the numbers are unprecedented and over the top. And we hope some of these jobs start coming back. And Chase makes a great point here. He still hasn't received his check yet. We said it's going to take time. And he makes the same point a lot of people are, and he's right on the mark here. How was this stimulus supposed to help me, if I don't get it until after the pandemic, which we hope that pandemic moves on as this year continues. But he's right. I mean, I feel for him and everyone else.
It is. It's hard because, I'm always on the other side of that conversation, Nick, because I'm always on the business side and just trying to imagine 180 million checks going out and trying not to send them out to the wrong people that shouldn't get it, to the people that should get it. It's not a black and white system. And again, taxation, so a lot of the people that are not getting the check, some of them were non-filers, some of them were married or divorced, or we have to check to see if every single person had back child support. There is a system that's going into play here, but again, it's taking a lot longer than anyone would have wished for. And the same thing with the unemployment. Anyone that's had to wait more than 2 to 3 weeks, I can't imagine, if you were living paycheck to paycheck and then, thinking you were going to have some help and not having it, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have people that says it's been almost 9 weeks since they've applied for unemployment and they haven't seen it. And of course, they're still saying they can't reach people, they can't talk to people. And that's it. Our hands are tied. I wish I could help them. The same thing with the stimulus. It's like, I wish I had the ability to go into the system and say, oh yeah, it's planned to be coming out at this time. At least give hope.
No, you and I both. It's frustrating because I want to help so many of these folks, and I've had some tearful phone calls and some very, sad emails that have come to me. Now, what we do know is they're trying to, at least on the stimulus payment side, get more operators there to answer questions. I'm going to give this number out real quick again. We'll give it out throughout the show. This is the latest bank of phones set up by the IRS to try to help answer your questions. You and I have both called and been put on hold. So it's more of the same, but they hired like 3,500 more operators, but we're talking about millions of calls. The number, and get your pen and paper so you have it throughout the show. I'll give it periodically. But again, that number is 1-800-919-9835. This is for questions about the stimulus. And I know, Dr. Friday, a lot of folks I've talked to have done everything right. Okay, and I'm trying to get to the heart of, all right, they've done everything right. They qualify. All the information is there. They're still not getting it. That's where you want to make this call. 1-800-919-9835 is the line. You may be on hold for a bit, but it's supposed to help answer that. And it could be something where there's a misinformation. It could be a clerical error on their end, or again, as you've said, it could be you're just farther down the queue.
Right. Well, and I've had a couple people that we actually have been able to obtain power of attorney and found out that their 18 tax return was never received. They thought they filed the return, but it wasn't returned. The IRS doesn't show any receiving of that. So they're waiting, thinking that we're in compliance. We filed 18. We haven't filed 19 yet, but we're good. And no, 18 wasn't posted. So, there's always these little glitches that people don't know about until something like this happens. Then, now they're sitting there going, oh, wait, I guess we didn't file it, or whatever. So there is sometimes reasons that people say, well, I filed it. They swore they filed it, but the IRS didn't have it. So they can't do what they don't have. Yeah.
Well, boy, a lot of it. I'm going to get to some of these comments on Facebook in a second. Let's take some calls. They're coming in as well. Again, we're going to take this whole hour with you to answer as best as we can. And there's no dumb questions here. I know it's frustrating for a lot of folks. So if you're confused or need help, give us a call. The number's on the screen, or hit us up right now on Facebook at newschannel5.com. Okay, you know what? We're going to do that. We're going to take a break first because we're right up against it. As soon as we come back, phone calls and comments online right after this. Stay with us.